absolutely brilliant.
Just an incredible film.
I can't really believe that you made this in 48 hours.
Back in November, a team that I was a part of won 4 different awards at a 48-hour film challenge. First thing we had to consider was building the team, and Duncan, the producer, did an amazing job here. I'm currently in the middle of reading Rebel Ideas by Matthew Said, which talks about the importance of building teams with diversity of experience. And yeah, we had a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds on this particular project. This particular 48-hour film festival was puppetry focused. So Duncan, the producer, was a puppeteer as well as being an actor. I was brought in as a director. I have a lot of experience making micro short films in that 1 to 5 minute range. I also have a lot of knowledge of film history, which I definitely brought to the project. We had Mitch, who is an amazing director of photography. He did a great job. He made the whole thing look absolutely beautiful, as well as other people that Duncan knew from the puppetry world who had experience doing puppetry work and doing set design. So we had expertise from all over the shop. It's useful to have that diversity of experience because it definitely helps with delegating. Like, the person who knows how to do the thing does the thing. And between us, I definitely think we were able to achieve more than we could individually. I wouldn't be surprised if there were like better designers on the other teams, or better filmmakers on the other teams, or better puppeteers on the other teams. But because we all worked together and pooled our resources, we were able to achieve so much more together. We also did quite a lot of prep in advance, as much as we could that was within the rules. So our producer organized some prototyping of the puppet that we were going to be making, and the person who made the puppet had a few practice goes at making the puppet to these specifications. We already had a location picked out where we could easily build set and control the light, as well as having access to all the building materials we could possibly need. Thank you very much, Bath Carnival. That was really, really invaluable for us. Me and Mitch, the director of photography, also discussed in advance what camera equipment we would need and the thoughts that we had about how we wanted to shoot it. Mitch wanted to involve some stuff with anamorphic lenses, which we did. It was great. You really don't want to be deciding that stuff on the day. Although that being said, we did decide to shoot some of it on iPhones on the day. I say don't make these decisions on the day, but we did that a little bit. As soon as we got the prompts, we started brainstorming ideas. Now, we were given 3 words as our prompt. We started brainstorming ideas for each individual word. We did that for at least half an hour total, probably closer to 45 minutes, before we started trying to connect those dots. Because having all the possibilities for each individual word allows you to build a lot more of a cohesive idea when you get round to doing that synthesis. I made another video about generating ideas, which it will be around somewhere. You can watch it. When you come to writing your story, aim for simplicity and a satisfying resolution. This is really important. It's what made ours work so well, was how simple the resolution was, and ultimately it's just a journey to another world and back again. So simple. In the end, we did actually have an idea that was a bit too complicated, I think. We had this whole scene at the start that we ended up having to simplify during the shooting process. Would have been so much better if we'd just come up with a simple idea from the word get-go. When it came to shooting, efficiency was absolutely key. This is always true in a 48-hour film project. As soon as a piece of scenery was built, we shot the scene that was meant to be shot in it. Whilst we were shooting a scene, the first piece of scenery, the second piece of scenery was still being built. Once you've spent 3 takes on something, you have spent too long on it. You want to get things done and sorted, and as soon as you've got something serviceable that will tell the story, move on to the next thing. Also, do not be afraid to cut content if the story still makes sense. Like I said before, we had an idea for the opening scene that we did not use because the story still made sense without it. It was a massively complicated, and we ended up with a decent film in spite of the fact that we just completely removed this section. Once you're done with shooting, you're going to be moving on to editing, and make sure you leave enough time for this. We definitely left enough time for it in our initial plan, but kept on shooting for a while, which meant that everything got tighter and tighter, and the time that we could have spent in the edit was the time that disappeared. Thankfully, Mitch is an incredibly fast editor, so this didn't end up being a problem, but we cut it fine. At this stage, you may well discover that your film is too long. This is what happened to us in a previous year at the same competition, and it happened to us this year as well. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to cut stuff from a film. Small edits can really add up, so if you have like 3 frames that you can lose at the beginning of something, 5 frames you can lose at the end of something, lose those frames and very quickly you'll have 10, 20, 30 seconds that you can cut out of the film. Final piece of advice, don't skimp on sound. You can get away with a lot from just like shoving a piece of music over it, but if you end up putting actual like sound effects in at the correct places, your film will feel so much more alive for it. Again, shout out to Mitch for being the most efficient editor of all time and helping us to get a wonderfully sound designed film by the deadline. Madness. It's mad that we achieved it as much as we did in the time. So yeah, I've probably missed a few things out, but there's everything that I think I've learned from making a 48-hour short film. Ooh, it was a time. If you want to see the short film, I will leave a link over here. I also make other videos about creativity and things like that. If that's something that would interest you, feel free to subscribe. I will see you in another video, hopefully. Please do stick around.